Capitol Square from the Ohio News Network.
Welcome to Capitol Square. I'm John Fortney. We have a great program for you today. We welcome Ken Hanson. He's from the Buckeye Firearms Association. He serves also as a municipal prosecutor and is experienced in firearms legislation. Columbus City Council member Maryellen O'Shaughnessy joins us, elected to City Council in 1997. She serves as chair of the Public Service Committee and is also a graduate of The Ohio State University. Well known in Columbus, she represents the third generation of her family to hold public office. Karen Kassler from our State House Press Corps today, the Bureau Chief of Ohio Public Radio and Television, and from the Dispatch Group, This Week newspapers, Michael Maurer. Well, first of all, I guess let me just start with the basics. Why did you want the change in the law? Because there's a lot to talk about, the veto override, so forth and so on. But first and foremost, what was wrong with the old piece of concealed carry legislation that you wanted changed?
Well, I mean, there's a substantial list of things that are wrong with the original concealed carry legislation, House Bill 12. The biggest problems we were having statewide dealt with the car transportation issues. Those were the most immediate concerns. You literally had Korean War vets, World War II vets that have never been in trouble in their lives. They go out, they take the training, get the license, and are trying to transport the handgun. And because our law is the only concealed carry law in the nation that places restrictions on license holders on when they're in a car, you know, they're running afoul of these felony laws. So we were definitely getting a lot of accidental felons, and that was a priority to fix. The other major problem we were having was a lot of municipalities were attempting to further regulate what license holders could and could not do, and that was and still is causing problems for license holders.
What is so wrong with that? Because from city to city, we do have different ordinances that regulate different activities. What's so wrong with that when it comes to firearms legislation, in your opinion?
Well, I have a license to practice law in Ohio. When I go to Toledo or Cleveland or Cincinnati or wherever, I can practice law in that state, and I've got that city, and I've got a pretty good idea how to do it. It should be the same with my license to carry a concealed handgun. I don't have to look up when I'm going into a city to see whether that particular handgun is legal for me to carry in that city. It's an idea of putting everyone on notice, giving them one set of rules to follow so that they have a reasonable chance of complying with the law. Now,
Maryellen, Columbus is really upset about this. I know the mayor has been very outspoken because of the assault weapons ban tied into the summertime and year-round task force on gangs. What is the bottom line message from the city of Columbus about the new legislation?
Well, the fact is that our 700 and nearly 20,000 people who live in the city of Columbus have overwhelmingly told us that safety is the #1 issue. Over and over again, and I can tell you that more than 70% of our budget is directed towards safety. This is an overriding concern of not only City Council but also the administration. When the federal government allowed the assault weapons ban to expire and the state government did nothing to make sure that our citizens were safe, we as a city felt that we had to do as we're elected to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the people that we serve, we felt we had no other choice other than to go forward and do our best and our due diligence to make sure that there was an assault weapons ban in place that could be enforced. We've had that in place for about a year and a half now. It's about safety in a dense urban population that is very different from the suburban and rural areas of our state. And we're offended that we have Big Brother here in the form of state government telling us what we can and cannot do. There is a home rule provision in the Ohio Constitution that I believe this flies in the face of, and that's the essence of it, and I hope we get a chance to talk more about it.
Karen?
There was a Quinnipiac University poll this week that said that 54% of Ohioans believe that the override was a bad idea. So I want to ask Ken, the numbers of permit holders since the concealed carry weapons law were not as high as were originally expected. 54% of Ohioans apparently think overriding the veto was a bad idea. How is what you were pushing not special interest legislation?
Well, first, I don't think you can say that the number of licenses issued is not as high as expected. I think we're up to 85,000 Ohio licenses, something like 5,000 Florida licenses issued to Ohio residents, another couple thousand to Utah residents. I mean, we're very close to 100,000, which was the prediction for the first 2 years. As far as the poll, I believe it was question 9 and 10, and the wording of, I don't know who sponsored the poll, but certainly the wording of that question was, do you favor government imposing their will on local authority, which is not exactly the way it was worded, but that was the gist of the question. If the question was worded as, do you favor someone who has a license from the government having one set of rules to follow when they're traveling across the state, I would venture a very strong different opinion on that. If you look at the number of calls that came into the legislative aides and the administrative aides down in the State House, I mean, those people had 1,000-yard stares. They were getting absolutely shelled with phone calls in the week before the override, and it was orders of magnitude in favor of the override and against the veto.
Michael?
I wonder, Maryellen, on the home rule question, were you personally in favor of the statewide ban or ban, I guess, on cigarette smoking? It seemed like that had pretty wide support.
There's a difference here. I absolutely.
Well, and see, this is the issue. You get these procedural questions, and people are always wanting to wave that flag.
Right.
But everybody, and this happens on all sides of the issues.
I think that's a good.
They move up and down.
That's a good point. We have with cigarettes, you have an opportunity to go outside and smoke. There is no. When we come to something like assault weapons, we're talking about bullets. We're talking about bullets that can go through quarter-inch steel. We're talking about something that can go through a police officer's vest. We're talking about something that you can hear it over and over again when people use assault weapons. They go through houses, they go through walls, several walls in a house, killing people, innocent people inside their homes. We have a duty to defend people in this type of environment and understand that when we talk about uniformity, you're trying to superimpose a rule on a city that is very different than a rural population here. I was thinking of, I did a little research on Mr. Aslanides, and I hope I'm saying his name right. He's from Coshocton County. There are 35,000 people in Coshocton County. This is basically a rural population where you're going to be able to use something like an assault weapon in target practice in much safer manner than you could in a city. I would have a problem with somebody transporting assault weapons through the city of Columbus because that gives them an opportunity. These things are designed to kill, and we don't want them in the city of Columbus, and we should have the right to be able to make that decision to make sure that our population is safe.
There's a lot of people in the media have never fired a handgun, an assault weapon as they are described as. I have done that, and I guess the bottom line is you're absolutely right. You know, AK-47s, these kinds of rifles, they are designed to kill. But the bottom line from the city of Columbus perspective, how has the assault weapon ban been beneficial? Because it all gets back to the old line about, only criminals are the people that are going to be using these things in a criminal way, not the law-abiding citizens. So I guess what's the message about that?
Well, the message is that we need to make sure that our police officers have every tool that they need to be successful here. And there are a variety of rules on the books. When one rule is taken away, we have an opportunity to impose another rule that helps them when they catch the bad guys to charge them with something that may stick. Here we've got an opportunity here when we take those gang members off the street to use this local ordinance to charge them with an additional offense. Let
me point out that, I understand that this ban was predominantly pushed by Councilmember Mental, and he was unable to be here this morning, and I wish he would have been able to. First of all, guns are not designed to kill. They're designed to put a projectile on a target. What the user does with that is what determines it. We don't blame a hammer for building a house. These local ordinances punish as misdemeanors these crimes. Look at the Maurice Claret case. He was dead to rights in violation of the Columbus assault weapon ban. He was not charged for violating that assault weapon ban. Why? Because any crime you can commit in Ohio with a gun is already a felony, meaning that these local ordinances are not being used to punish people that are committing crimes, because the people that commit the crimes are already punished with a felony, meaning that the city cannot charge them and give them a tool or something to impose a sanction on the people that are committing crimes with these guns.
But as a prosecutor yourself, you would have to think that you'd be sympathetic to cities that do have problems with gangs and so forth and so on. Is there a better way to prosecute them under existing law? Is that your message?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, Ryan McClinn, the mayor of Dayton, was talking about, well, we have a gunfire problem. We already have a statute on the book that deals with gunfire. We have a problem with people shooting at police. We already have a statute on the books dealing with shooting at police. I mean, all of these things are addressed.